that HSBC and a whole bunch of other banks are now telling people they can't take out more than $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 at a time, and are saying that they're going to file suspicious transaction reports on people that do. And they've already had a whole bunch of different cases, as you know, last year with bail-ins, where as much as 45% of every person's bank account, except insiders in places like Cyprus, have their money taken out and given to hedge fund owner mafia bosses that literally engineered the collapse of the country. And in the case of Cyprus, they didn't even say the money was owed or there was any type of paper connection. This is beyond selling derivatives into the market, the same mortgage 100 times or more. This is beyond credit default swaps. This is just open thieving with paramilitary government in control, with banks in control of the government, saying either give us unlimited bailout money or we will implode your country. Give us $40+ trillion in the U.S. alone that's been given to mainly offshore and foreign banks since 2008, or we're too big to fail and we'll bring you down. And then we're told this is our debt and we've got to pay it for generations. The average person born the year Obama got into office, 2009, owes $1,300,000. The Congressional Budget Office came out last week. Just in 6 years, those 6-year-olds owe $1 million+ dollars. And folks, when they're done, it's going to be $1 billion apiece. Because we're going to be like the Weimar Republic in Germany that brought Hitler to power, where you needed wheelbarrows to buy a loaf of bread, where you'd come in to buy dinner and you'd want to pay up front because your meal might be twice as much in 2 hours. That happened. That's happening in Zimbabwe right now. This is what happens when criminals run things. They don't just not mismanage things. They want you poor. But first, they've got to have a paramilitary force in place. First, they've got to have police that believe demonstrating is illegal. First, they've got to have a system where you can be disappeared under the National Defense Authorization Act and torture's cool. And they've got to have a system where they can stage terror attacks and blame it on domestic groups. Remember, I told you years ago, we broke this, that they were shifting from saying gun owners were the main threat, moving it over to just people who are Tea Party folks, period, that you're some type of terrorist. And before that, it was Al-Qaeda, then gun owners, then returning veterans. And then now it's, domestic groups, Homeland Security say they're about to attack. This is in mainstream news that every police department is told, you will be attacked by the Tea Party and veterans. They will use IEDs on you. They will bomb you. So you need these giant armored Iraq trucks to prepare for war, and it's all over the Army Times. It's all over Stars and Stripes. They're normalizing it like it's no big deal. And here it is. First, HSBC halts large withdrawals. Now Lloyd's ATM stop working. That's Zero Hedge reporting on Sky News. That's Fox News in England, breaking right now, UK-wide. This is up on Infowars.com as well. You go to drudgereport.com. They have it right on the right-hand side, the HSBC article. Now, I told you years ago they were getting ready for this before it started. And why is that? These criminals like to have the law changed or regulation changed. Then they have a bunch of boards internationally sign off on it so that when it all ends up happening, they can blame it on thousands of bureaucrats and no one can be held accountable. Do you understand? I mean, I watch these people. This is what I do. I know how they operate. And what I love, the fact is that Chris Jordan comes in now. He knows when something's big in the news to print me old articles, so I already have it. He put together a folder just of 5 or 6 articles last year or 2 years saying get ready for them to charge you to have money in the bank and charge you to use your debit card or credit card. I don't care if you have $100 million in the bank. Your money's worthless because the globalists can get all the fiat digits they want, zeros and ones. The economy isn't about creating value and bringing value to the table. It's not about being honorable and building a better society. And businesses and companies and lawyers and people that are honorable get more popular, and those that aren't get run out of business. Honorable police get supported, and so they can do the right thing. Well, you don't take control of the situation. You get bad police in. They run out the good cops. You get tyranny. And this has now happened. I'm going to open the phones up here in a moment, but here it is. Sky News, Lloyd's Banking Group says problems affecting cash machines and debit cards have been resolved. Isn't that nice? It's a pseudo attempt at capital controls. And what they do is they test it. They send letters to their customers. Then people backlash and they stop. But they're conditioning you. This is a military tactic. Before they invaded Panama, I'm no fan of Manuel Noriega, but in the late 80s, but he was a CIA operative trafficking narcotics, and he stopped paying his cut. That's been declassified. So they had that big invasion claiming that they were saving 3 women that were at a college that were American citizens. When they got saved, it's in the Panama Deception film, they go, no one ever held us hostage. This isn't even true. But the point is that for a month before they invaded, they had U.S. military do drills who were already invited into the country of landing helicopters, taking off, doing shooting drills, dropping grenades, until when they actually invaded, the Panamanian military stood down, thinking it was just another drill. Meanwhile, all of this is going on. Now the Grammys are going to have gay weddings added on TV, just shoving sexual propaganda in everyone's faces. Children's cartoons, you name it. And it's not because they're even liberal and want equality for, quote, gay people. They want to end the family as we know it. They want to absolutely break the back of society. That's why you see in sitcoms and dramas attacks now on standard nuclear families. And because they have to replace the general Bill of Rights and Constitution that we all had with special rights. Oh, we have new bathrooms for 5-year-olds that think they're a boy, a girl, or maybe an animal. Oh, we have to legalize bestiality now. It's for the children. Oh, we have to, teach 5-year-olds about daddy, having a husband or whatever. So that people are so concerned and obsessed with all that meanwhile, total tyranny's coming in. And you're going to be charged to use your debit card no matter what you do. And everything you do is going to be tracked and controlled. And they use the NSA actuaries on record to be able to predict the future in mass and individual movements almost 100% of the time now. It was 93% 6 years ago. Amazon says it's 100% of the time. Do you hear me? They can now predict and have your packaging and shipping before you order it. How your mouse goes over things, what you bought in the past, your habits. These are war-gamed algorithms. The internet is actually a giant interface with computers to teach the computers how to be artificially intelligent. I told you this over a decade ago. It's now mainstream news. Interfacing with predictive analytics, but it's not just to know what you want. They can then steer you and test propaganda and see what works. This is the end of free will. And once they have this in place, the robots are coming in to replace us, replace the military, everything. You're not going to have to wait 100 years for Elysium, folks. 10 years, 15 years. Symbols are powerful, and the globalists have hijacked the symbols of America. They've turned them into their own symbols. Well, we are restoring the idea of the true republic, not the counterfeit globalist empire, by promoting the icon George Washington and others. That's why we're rolling out an 100% made in America line of incredible pro-liberty apparel. We are repopularizing liberty. We are helping fellow Americans rediscover what made this country great. We are the spirit of 1776. We are 1776 worldwide. We are all brothers and sisters in arms in the animating contest of liberty in the long march towards humanity's ultimate destiny of freedom. Visit madein1776.com today and vote with your dollars to promote truly made in America, high-quality products, and promote the ideals of liberty. What do you think of the open purging? And it's not just Dinesh D'Souza and the former governor of Virginia for crooked toenails, while basically Obama's roasting children on the White House lawn comparatively. It is announcing, we'll do whatever we want executively. We'll take your guns via executive. We'll open the borders up via executive order. We'll control Obamacare that we got passed selectively. We'll decide what you've got to follow and what you don't on a case-by-case. That's how royalty and communist dictators like Kim Jong-un control people, because they've got laws, but they're all selectively enforced. Katie, bar the door. You are listening to the Alex Jones Show, broadcasting worldwide. Only I can introduce myself by cutting off and interrupting the liner. But we are live on this Sunday edition. I'll be back tomorrow, Lord willing, 11 a.m. Central. But the globalists have committed so many incredible crimes, they're going for broke. And they have an agenda, a program of social control called Cloward and Piven and Agenda 21 that is basically just modern forms of feudalism and serfdom to make you poor so they can politically control you. I don't know how many times I got to explain that. And I know most of you understand that, but we got to get the word out about this. We got a Bob Barr clip I want to play coming up in a moment. And then we'll also come back in the next segment and go to your phone calls. But I'd like to hear from you. 877-789-2539. Now, stopping right there, this just broke again today, and I'm really starting to get freaked out. First, HSBC in England and Europe announces you can't get your money out of the bank and says it's no big deal. Then we see a bunch of other people doing this. Lloyd's, big banks in Europe and England, ATM stopped working. And now this just broke in Forbes. China halts bank transfers. The People's Bank of China, the central bank, has just ordered commercial banks to halt cash transfers. The notice, for instance, appears to be online portal for Citigroup's Citibank unit for China customers. Man, this is really getting bad. Now, I've been warning you for years about this because I've studied how tyrannies work, and I've been studying what they've been gearing up for through Know Your Customer and the Patriot Act, not just here but worldwide. It's global standardization to literally take money right out of your bank account, no judge, no jury, no nothing. And by the way, when they did it in Cyprus, only insiders and government officials, a few thousand, were exempt, just like the EU bureaucrats are exempt from EU taxes. And you're like, man, that's criminal. Well, you put up with it. Why not? Isn't there a football game on right now? That's what the real men watch. What is it? Is it who's playing, the Colts and the Seahawks or something? So, see, I'm not really tough. I mean, I don't even know that. I don't even know. See, I'm not a man, folks. I read legislation. I know how to fire a 50 cal and hit stuff at 200 yards away from my hip. I mean, I'm a really horrible person. I know hand-to-hand combat, folks. I mean, I'm not a man. I don't go watch football all day and feel powerful and get obsessed with a ritualized combat. I get obsessed with foreign banks destroying my entire future and my family's future because I'm a bad person. And I want to apologize to Hillary Clinton right now. Look at how they make her like a movie star. Oh, it's Planet Hillary. Oh, people got to talk to her. An ugly, evil, corrupt witch that everyone grovels to in the controlled, dying media that literally no one watches. MSNBC already had like 500,000 viewers. That just got cut in half. I mean, local radio has more listeners. Oh, but it's Rachel Maddow. Oh, they're so big. The emperor's beautiful clothes. The emperor's not wearing jack squat. And now I wanted to bring you back to some of the older articles. Could banks charge fees for deposits? Oh. That was an article out of USA Today last November. Oh, could banks charge fees for deposits? That came out the same day in NBC. See, it's a talking point. Financial Times of London. A few days before. This is bigger than the Wall Street Journal. They actually give the orders. U.S. banks warn Fed interest cuts could force them to charge depositors. That's what's going on. They're getting ready for that. Wells Fargo to begin charging customers for deposits. Oh, Infowars.com. Oh, my goodness. Banks warned Fed they may start charging. Zero hedge. U.S. bank customers to pay for deposits. RT. Oh, that was from last year, too. See? Oh, Alex, don't fearmonger. Everything's all right. If we don't get upset and say no to this, a few years ago, Bank of America started charging $5 to use your debit card. You know, just to use it in transactions. That'd be hundreds of dollars a month, just bare minimum bills, as they try to force employees, everybody else, onto cashless deposits. I'm not against cashless society unless criminals are running it, and they are. They will use it to surveil, abuse, and pilfer you, and you'll be all alone when they do it. Look at the phenomenon of phone bills and cable bills, how they'll try to jack it up slowly, and if you don't notice, they'll jack it way up. This is criminal algorithms being applied with selective enforcement where they act like they didn't know. Oops, I walked in and fell into bed with your wife. Oops, I walked into the bank and walked out with the money. Oops, I walked into your field and stole your watermelons. I mean, this is ridiculous what's going on. And it's happening. Dictatorship, total control. And if we rationalize it, keep saying, it's okay, it's okay. It's those of you that criticize the system. You're the ones causing the problem. When we first reported that, people said we were lying for about a week. And then the mainstream news had to admit they are charging a $5 fee. And then there was a backlash. And so they had to back off of it. But then they came out and said, well, we'll just do it when all the big banks do it. So get ready for all the big banks to do it. And you're like, well, I'll go to a local bank. No, you won't. The Banking Reform Act of a couple years ago is written, and the head of the Texas Banking Association has been public about this, very valiant in the face of this evil, to shut down credit unions and local banks with the regulations. The big banks don't loan money. Have you noticed? They don't need to. They've got unlimited digital money. Fractional reserve banking was only the beginning. Derivatives. And now they just have special drawing rights, SDRs, and now they just have bail-ins. They just take the money out of your bank account. And if you don't like it, well, you must be a terrorist. Our country, I send my reporters out to water treatment plants or to police stations, and they set up a camera to do a stand-up in front of it. It doesn't matter where we are in the country, and cops will come and go, you can't film. It's against the law, I'm going to arrest you. Well, what's the law? Well, there is no law. Why are you giving me a problem? Well, don't we have a First Amendment? No, you don't. Get out of here. Well, cop, let me give you a little news flash. You don't have a 4th or 10th either, and you're going to get nailed to the wall. If Americans are so stupid as to get rid of every basic canon of a free society, every check and balance that has protected us, we deserve what we get.
Everything we said came true. Everything we've done has been right.
You can have a law saying you can, line up all the people in Nazi Germany you want to and shoot them. Doesn't mean it's legal or lawful. I mean, what do you do at a certain point if America's all lost? Do you just leave the nation? As most wealthy people have already done in the last decade? People part of the system have been leaving or getting a redoubt in another country. A lot of them Eastern Europe. A lot of elites are moving to places like Transylvania, Romania. This is real, folks. Most of the big companies on Wall Street have 100-to-1 price-earnings ratios. They're total frauds, total bubble. And they've built the bubble and prepared the bubble to implode everything into it, saying, give us everything when the bubble goes down or it'll be even worse. And then they conquer us through economic fraud, not through military takeover. But then if you get uppity and don't like the takeover, well, then a paramilitary comes after you. But most people have jobs in the system. It's already that way, but it's really going to be like that soon. Well, hey, don't get in the way of the system. That's the only job we got. This is how they've enslaved us. This is how they've domesticated us. My dog is totally dependent on me to feed it. And that's fine because I love him and take care of him and feed him. But I'm not a dog and you're not a dog. But we've been acting like worse than dogs. I want to play this Bob Barr clip and then go to your calls and then get to some other news. But there is just so much happening right now where our money is being used by all these special interests to build a cage for this country. And it's very, very saddening. Let's go ahead and go to Bob Barr. Thursday, 6 hours before the Dinesh D'Souza filmmaker indictments by Eric Holder, undoubtedly for interviewing Obama's estranged brother, undoubtedly for exposing on the Democratic Party race baits, undoubtedly for making a nice, friendly, wholesome film to bring America together. The party of the Ku Klux Klan, the Democrats, is not going to allow that. They killed Martin Luther King because he wouldn't shut up about how the Republicans were good and pass the Civil Rights Act. And they'll do whatever they have to now. They've moved from white racism to minority racism, and that's what they sell. And you're not going to have a minority like Dinesh D'Souza sell unity. And I talked to Bob Barr about how they might blow his airplane up if he gets back into Congress, which he's in the lead right now. He's the type of guy they'll be afraid, if he wins this year, and then he could run for president. I mean, they're scared, folks. If you think Rand Paul's a rock star or Ted Cruz, Bob Barr's even better spoken. He could be presidential. And I told him on air and off air, you better watch out. You've got incredible courage. Thursday, and then came the indictments of D'Souza that night. Here it is.
Alex, I was with some folks just recently, and I pulled out of a file in my office the House resolution, that I introduced on November 5th of 1997. That was the very first official inquiry of impeachment filed against Bill Clinton. And that was mine. And at the time, I think I had 18 co-sponsors was all in November of 1997. And what I did is I took that document, figuratively kind of dusted it off, added a little bit of language to it, and darned if it doesn't sound pretty good with Barack Obama's name in there.
Oh, man. So I think it's safe to say if you get back in Congress, the evidence is already there. You're going to start looking into the inquiry to begin getting the co-sponsors for indicting the president in the House, and I guess he'll be tried in the Senate?
I think it really has come to that. Now, it's not something I like to say. When I left the House before, after we impeached Clinton, my hope was that we would never have to go through that process again. But we do. Mr. President, you are not above the law. You cannot ignore the law. You cannot simply violate the law, violate the Constitution, because from a policy standpoint, you deem it appropriate to do so. We don't operate that way in America, and you are not going to be permitted any longer to do that.
Well, listen, we need to get you into Congress. The website, we'll put it up on screen for folks, barcongress.com. Oh, that's good. We need to get him in there. There's 40 minutes of that broken into 3 parts up on Infowars.com. It's red-linked. Obama launches chilling purge against political enemies. D'Souza and Governor McConnell charges, part of accelerating crackdown on dissent. And by the way, we had him on Friday. He's going to be back on tomorrow. The head of Project Veritas, the folks that brought down Akron and the rest of them. It looks like the governor of New York is moving to indict them. They've been indicted before in Louisiana and beaten it, exposing the corruption there. And it looks like the governor, Cuomo, Mr. Gangster, said that last week no conservatives, gun owners, or pro-lifers are welcome in New York. I mean, that's like Nazi Germany. No Jews are welcome in Germany or something. I mean, this is hardcore. And now they're going to go after them. I mean, get ready. They'll probably come after me. I'm telling you, we got to stand with all these people. They've pled not guilty. They're coming after everyone. O'Keefe called nasty little coward Spud by former U.S. attorney. And that's really hardcore. So they're coming after everybody, folks. I mean, I cannot tell you what it's like to know that they can come with guns and badges. These are the people that shipped tens of thousands of guns into Mexico, bragged about it in federal filings, then said they never heard of it. And then the filings CBS got proved it was meant to be blamed on gun owners in America to ban the Second Amendment. They got caught false flagging. That's a false flag attack, killing thousands in Mexico, conservatively dozens in the United States. God help us. And listen, the criminals in government are not going to stop. They're going to ruin everything. That's what I got to get through to all you guys. Corruption doesn't just sit in one spot. It either gets better or it gets worse. And I mean, it's going off the edge of a cliff here. It is a game of chicken that I've stayed in this country. It is a game of chicken that I continue to do this because I don't want them to win. And I'm committed and I'm staying here and I'm not backing down. And I'm not here to intimidate people either and do their work for them. But you got to admit what's going on here. Please, folks, all these glitterbug preachers and these big mega churches are government paid for, 501c3, tax-exempt status. They're pushing government's line. They're teaching clergy response team, Homeland Security sermons. The average people have no idea. I mean, this country is so far gone, folks. The government runs the big churches. It's trying to run everything. I mean, I cannot even explain to you how much trouble we're in. But I believe you're not cowards. I believe you'll learn about this and speak out against it yourself. They can't stop us all, but they're gearing up for open war with the American people. Ask yourselves, what are you doing in this time of great challenge? What are you doing to unlock minds?